Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. I am MegaFreak400, and we will be heading off to the 5th dungeon of the Dark World. Now you may be wondering, well, why are you in the Light World then? Well, the entrance is actually a lot closer than you would think, and it's a lot more familiar. Outside of the Fountain of Happiness, or Pond of Happiness, sorry. If you pick up that black rock, now that we have the Titan's Mitt, you can go through this portal into the Ice Palace. Now, the Ice Palace is probably one of the more trickier dungeons. It's probably up there with, like, Skull Woods. And right here we have Freezors. Freezors can only be killed with the Fire Rod, or just fire in general. But they're pretty easy enemies. Just go and make sure you have some magic. And if you feel you're going to run out of magic, even though there's a lot of magic drops in this dungeon, you may want to bring a green potion or a blue potion, which revives both hearts and magic. Green just revives magic, and red revives hearts. Or refills, rather. But, yeah, this dungeon can be annoying. Now, it can be annoying because it has one of the most annoying game mechanics ever. That being ice and slipping on ice. Now, ice is annoying, and it's up there with underwater levels and wind, which restricts movements of characters. And here we have Pangators. Someone really loves penguins because they have penguins in a lot of games. These guys can be annoying, but you can take them out in one hit with your hook shot. So if you get them in a nice row, hook shot could be, very useful in taking them out. But yeah, but I really don't like the ice mechanics. At the same time, I love ice levels because ice levels just look really nice and awesome, and I always like ice. Ice is cool. I like it being cold. I don't like the mechanics of being on ice, but on ice in 3D, based on a true story in IMAX. No, these are I like ice-based levels. Always have. Like Hailfire Peaks and this, and there's others. I don't know why I'm not thinking of any. Yeah, ice levels in general are pretty awesome in my opinion. I hope to I like water levels. Water levels in comparison, I honestly, as much as they're a tradition, I don't really care about them all that much. It would feel odd to have games without water levels, to be honest, but I don't like water levels. And wind is just a really annoying game mechanic that is just annoying. I really don't like wind. I'm thinking of wind in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and also Epic Yarn, that one level with wind. People say, oh, the game is so easy, but actually that one level is annoying to keep all your gems because the wind it's making it hard to move around. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's just wind obstructs your movement. Now here we have a new enemy, the Skeleton Knights. The Skeleton Knights can be killed by slicing them with your sword and then bombing them. And that's basically it to the Skeleton Knight. They're pretty simple enemies. They look kind of scarier, but they're very, very, simple to take care of, to dispose of. But, yeah, the Skeleton Knights are pretty easy enemies. And here we have another conveyor belt. This game loves conveyor belts for whatever reason. They're in a lot of different levels, such as this one, and the damn Motula battle. Hit the switch, and we will go to the door. See, this dungeon is actually pretty. I almost would say it's pretty linear, but there's definitely a confusing point at some point in this game that may confuse some people. So what to talk about? Well, I believe I said, I don't think I discussed it, but I believe I mentioned maybe that I beat Golden Sun Dark Dawn. Now, my thoughts on that game, and I'm going to do so without giving spoilers. I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about this yet. Because basically I got really into it and started playing it all night long. And it's a really good game, but the thing is, it's, at least from what I remember, I don't remember playing the games, but I at least know story-wise, the story is really weak compared to the other games. I can't go into great detail without spoiling it, but at least for the first games, the setup of the story I'm gonna spoil the first games because I'm pretty sure if anyone hasn't played those games, I mean they're old enough. There's a whole age rule that you can spoil games that are old. But I will say right now, if you do not want to hear Golden Sun spoilers, plug your ears full of marshmallows. So in the original Golden Sun, you had the whole setup that basically you are the guy. You're going to not bad guy. You are the you have to stop the lighting of the lighthouses, and the game ends with the second lighthouse being lit. Now, that's, you know, it's a cliffhanger of sorts that leads that's basically, oh, there's going to be a second game, but it's a good stopping point, and they basically tie up what loose ends they need to leave, but they don't, you know, conclude it fully. They're like, it's obvious that it's not concluded, and they're not trying to act like it's concluded. And then in Golden Sun Lost Age, you basically learn that everything you did in the first game was actually the opposite of what you needed to do. You actually, it's that stopping the return of alchemy is a bad thing, and you need to actually revive alchemy. And I don't like being hit by spikes, so the whole turn of events there, and that whole turn of events of sorts is just, it was very, you know, well written story. I don't remember if the dialogue is great. I gotta play those games again, but it had a really great plot. In the second and Lost Ages basically summed it up. They didn't have to be a sequel. Now Dark Dawn, the issue with Dark Dawn, and I'll try to go without spoiling anything, but with Dark Dawn, it's and there is the chest. Unfortunately, we can't get there. You might wonder, well, couldn't you have gotten there by bombing one of those little holes? Well, yeah, you could have, but we don't have the key anyway, so we actually can't. We shouldn't have gotten there yet, and it wouldn't have mattered if I had gone there or not. Though, I technically could have taken a shortcut if I had gone that way, but whatever. With Dark Dawn, the beginning starts off with one plot point, and basically you forget that plot point throughout the rest of the game. And I mean, the game treats itself like it's wrapped up, but it still sets it up, you know, and this is kind of a spoiler, but it sets it up for another sequel as well. And there has to be a sequel, otherwise there is very loose ends. So it's obvious there has to be a sequel, otherwise the game wouldn't be complete. Whereas with the original Golden Sun, it was, when you finished it, it was done. There wasn't any, you know, extra plot point. You know, there wasn't anything else to add to it. It was finished. You know, the first Golden Sun, you knew the first Golden Sun, you knew there was going to be more to it, but it didn't act like it was finished. It treated itself like, yes, there is going to be more, and what we have done is tied up, but there's definitely going to be more. Whereas with Dark Dawn, it almost treated itself like, well, you know, the story's done, but it isn't. And there's other things that can go on with Dark Dawn too, in terms of story and, you know, some bad writing. But I can't really do that without giving spoilers, so I can't really. I don't want to spoil it because it is still pretty new. But basically, I feel the writing was very weak and very cliched. And it also feels like they did a lot of things in the game that they were basically trying to replicate the reaction they got in the original games, but it didn't work nearly as well as it did in the first two games. I'm not going to say what those things are without spoiling, but you might say, oh, well, don't be a spoiler Nazi, but I don't like to spoil games. I know, because after finding out about Mother 3, like, finding out information about it and then actually playing the game, I wish I wouldn't have known, because that game is phenomenal, and not knowing about it would have had a bigger reaction on me. So spoiling about, like, platforming games, I probably go a little bit too far with those personally, but in terms of actual story-based RPG games, I really think that the story needs to be experienced, because the reaction is a lot bigger when you experience it yourself. But anyway, yeah, the gameplay is great. The music is fantastic in it. I don't know if the music's that much different than the ones in Golden Sun, because again, I haven't played those games in a while and I need to replay them. But I know that the music is fantastic in it, and the gameplay is great. It's a very addicting game, but it just lacks, at least lacks the plot that the original games had. Now again, maybe if they make another sequel, maybe it will help tie it all together. But it feels like they could have done a better job of tying it up or making it. The whole game basically is just a sidetrack from the major plot that they only go in detail at the beginning. Again, I'm trying to do this without spoiling anything. Is the beginning is basically they have one plot point, and then the entire game is a sidetrack from that plot point, and then at the end it kind of like, oh yeah, remember this? Yeah, that's still an issue. Which is, you know, it feels like the entire game nothing happened. There wasn't really any progression, really. Now again, some stuff did happen, and I am curious as to how that's going to play out in the next sequel. But again, whereas Golden Sun, basically, whereas the first Golden Sun treated itself as, okay, we know there's another sequel coming out. We're not acting like we're a finished game. We're only one part of a finished game. This game is acting like it's a finished game when it's really weak without another game to go along with it. Yeah, I do recommend buying the game, though, and checking it, or at least playing it and checking it out, because I think if you liked Golden Sun, I think this game is definitely... It's more Golden Sun. It's definitely great. There's nothing wrong with it. But, I honestly think, though, there probably wasn't any need for it to be made. And the people who made Golden Sun mentioned how it was made because media got a lot of attention, and they wanted a sequel to it, but really... The Lost Age, it could have just ended there. Now, granted, there were some things in Lost Age that kind of left unanswered questions, so there could have been a sequel. But I don't think there needed to be a sequel. Now, there's no problem with making a sequel, but I guess the thing, you know, and I think about, like, Zelda, too. Zelda has that, not really, but, like, Zelda and, like, Mario, they'll have... People expect, oh, this game was great, I want a sequel to it. You know, the Zelda series keeps going along because people expect a sequel a lot of times and want a sequel and will buy a sequel because it's something familiar that they liked, and also it's safer to make a sequel than it is to make an original game or original IP, because with an original IP people might not buy it, and therefore you know, business-wise it's safer to go with sequels, hence why you see sequels. So again, I think I've said this before, if you don't want any more sequels, don't buy them. Now, for me, I don't mind sequels. That's why I'll still buy sequels, because, you know, I enjoy them. But at the same time, though, I'm trying to buy, and, you know, basically when you buy something, you're voting with your money. I do want to buy, more original-style games that, you know, are a tad bit more original than, or not sequels, rather. You know, like, Okami, I think, is a good example of that. There's, heck, Epic Mickey. Now, again, I know some people don't like Epic Mickey, but I think Epic Mickey's pretty epic. I've been definitely enjoying Epic Mickey. As I've mentioned, I think I mentioned that before, that Epic Mickey's been enjoyable. And I'm definitely looking forward to playing Skyward Sword, to be honest. I want to find out what the story's about. I hope they haven't... I know the art style was based on a very... was it expression? I can't remember what kind of art style, but it was painted art style to it, and I really like the art style that Skyward Sword had to it. Now, what I'm curious is if I know they've changed it up a little bit since the last... the last time we saw screenshots of it, so I hope that they didn't... I know, like, with, Tangled from Disney, the original thing was, oh, we're gonna have a painted art style, and then they got rid of it, because it's like, well, DreamWorks and Pixar have this very, you know... There's this style to 3D animation that almost all, companies still kind of use. Now, they have variations on it, but there's this very style that Pixar has that almost all... And we got the Blue Mail, which, I think it... I don't... If it halves, but we take less damage than we used to, so now enemies will do less damage to us, which is good. But, yeah, we have the whole issue with, people... Animation is there's a very standardized kind of style that for the most part, most 3D animation follows, and there isn't any differentiating from it. So I was disappointed when Tangled just decided to be a DreamWorks styled animation as opposed to having that painted style. And I hope that, you know, Skyward Sword still retains it, which I think it is. I just think it's they altered how it looks a little bit or slightly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Skyward Sword, and after messing around with the Wii Motion or Wii Remote Plus for Fling Smash, it'll be interesting to play, you know, Skyward Sword with the Wii Remote Plus. I mean, it's pretty accurate for what it is. And Fling Smash, again, I've been enjoying Fling Smash. It's a very simple arcade game, and the controls are fine. I've seen tons of reviewers complaining about the controls, saying, "Oh, it's so bad." But like, I played it and got S ranks on my first time. It's pretty simple to play if you follow the instructions, which is don't frantically whip it around. If you try and make accurate strokes, it works pretty well. There's really no complaints. And again, if you have to treat it like a $10 game and not like a $50 game, because essentially you're getting the Wii Remote Plus and then you're getting a game with it. But yeah, I've enjoyed Fling Smash, and I've enjoyed what the Wii Remote Plus can do, so I'll be interested in using that for Skyward Sword. I'm also interested in the story for Skyward Sword, and I think they've also mentioned they're going to change it up and make the dungeons a more important part or the dungeons a less important part, but I can remember they're going to change up the formula a little bit, so I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. But what I want to see from Nintendo for sure, though, is a new franchise of sorts. Actually, I would almost like it if they did less franchise and just had, like, here is a game, it's a single game, there is no sequels to it, and we're just going to make it, and then we're going to make another one. You know, not every game needs to have a sequel. I think sequels need to exist, but I don't think every game needs to have one. I don't think every game needs a follow-up. And that's something I feel businesses need to start doing. Now, here is an important, kind of annoying move in this dungeon. You can only push this rock. However, when you fall down, you'll notice that that's not the rock you need to push, because it's not close enough to the switch to push onto it. So you need to go back around the whole entire way to get back to this side. You can get there, you know, by going to the right and then going around again, like I did the first time, I believe, to get to where the chest with the blue mail was. And we are almost nearing the end of this dungeon. Again, this is a very long dungeon, and unlike Skull Woods, which is partly long because of how confusing it is, and it actually can be quite quick, this one is actually just kind of very long. Because I think I been doing pretty well in navigating this dungeon of sorts. And I like how you can pull on these imp tongues. I like pulling on tongues a lot. They're pretty awesome. Or it's a pretty cool little thing. I don't know. I'm a freak. But anyway, enough talk. Let's head down to our boss. And here is the boss of the 4th dungeon, Kholdstare with a K. Kholdstare is a Krakow reject, and he it's actually quite easy. First thing you want to do is you want to break his shield, and if you don't have any magic, I almost feel like you're screwed. You have to use fire. So if you're out of magic, I almost feel like that's it. You're dead. There's no way to survive. Now here, and I know at this point I've already died at least once, so I don't know why I'm still using the whole revive myself with fairy so I don't die. But I like to try and avoid deaths. But you can attack Kholdstare's 3 parts with the fire rod, or you can just attack him with a sword. Either way, though, he's not that difficult. And as you can see, he's already dead. Kholdstare's a pretty easy boss. There's another heart container and crystal. It's a crystal shard. I can't sing, but whatever. And we get our 5th maiden. Only 2 more, and we will have a party. Mega, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you! They say the Hylia people, or Hylia people, controlled mysterious powers, as did the 7 wise men, but the blood of the Hylia... So wait, this isn't... We're not Hylia then? Why? Wise men do not possess strong power anymore. Our powers will increase if we mix the courage of knights with the wisdom of the wise men. Only a short time remains until the gate to the castle linking the worlds opens completely. If you defeat Ganon, this world will vanish and the Triforce will wait for a new holder. Meaning the Dark World, not the world. But anyway, next time we're heading off to our next dungeon. This has been Mega 400 reminding you... cheesecakes.